Hi, I'm Montaigne and you're chatting with Milky. It's changed a lot, partly because my material circumstances have changed. So when I was first writing songs, I was like living with my parents at home in Kellyville. It's very quiet out there. Like it was in my bedroom, was mostly playing the guitar, didn't have access to a piano. So a lot of my songs were being written on the guitar. And, ended up moving out, was in share houses, still sort of played the guitar and would go for like long walks. And that's where I'd write songs. So a lot of them would like start like just lyrics and vocals. And then, I don't know, like in the last 2 years, especially with the pandemic, in 2018 or 17 moved into a house that like I could have a piano in, so I started writing a lot of my songs on the piano. So I did that, and that changed, I think, like the tenor of the songs a little bit, and also just like had different life experiences, so I was writing about those. And then when the pandemic began, I was like with my new partner, well, not new anymore, we've been together for 3 years now, but like we were like 6 months into our relationship when the pandemic began, and I moved out into his place and couldn't have a piano in there, and I had a bedroom that didn't have a door, so like I felt weirder about like playing music out loud, like writing music out loud there, because I didn't want other people to hear me because it feels very private for me. So that's sort of where I am now. Like we're in an apartment now, just me and my partner, but I still like don't really want my partner to hear me like write songs in live, because it's a very vulnerable thing, and I want to be able to like express myself without worrying whether or not someone close to me can like hear my deepest, darkest thoughts. I'll express it to them at some point, but in my own time, please. Partly I just was really interested in hyperpop and like electronic dance music and pop, and a lot of that has very little like acoustic elements to it, so that's kind of, I don't know, it became very like pandemic music in the sense that it was like all done like in cans on Ableton or with a producer. So it was very like, this album is a product of the pandemic. I think it's my pandemic album because all of it's really electronic, barely any of it is played live because you just like couldn't get live plays in. And I'm also like producing myself now, so a lot of my songs begin in the computer. And I really enjoy that, like making my own sounds. So has changed, and like it probably will change more again in the future. I call this album a love album, even though like half of it isn't really explicitly about love or the relationship I'm in. I think the back half is very sweet and soft and like celebrating that, but the beginning is like anxiety and these weird, almost like sci-fi concepts. Because and I think it's still a love album because I think I was able to write those songs due to being in the relationship I'm in. I think I have like a weirdo imagination. And when I say weirdo, it's not even that weird. It's just like not like mainstream sort of interest. Like me and my partner are massive nerds. We like tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and even the more niche ones and like video games and fantasy and sci-fi and all that stuff, which is like, I think this day and age less and less weird, but it's still kind of like on the fringe a little bit in terms of like pop culture. And like I just, being in this relationship, feel like I can just like enjoy and indulge and synthesize those interests into the music that I make now. And so yeah, I did end up writing about like aliens who start a major music label to try and like brainwash celebrities into like espousing propaganda for them, and like a song about the cordyceps mushroom, which like is a parasitic fungus that infects ants and like makes them zombies and like does their bidding and helps them like continue their life cycle and all that stuff. So I really wanted to explore that stuff, partly also because I was running out of things to say about myself, because I was just kind of like content and happy, and there's not a lot of detail in that. And the thing is, I did manage to write a few songs that do have some detail about like the conditions of happiness that I am experiencing. Like, it's not, when you are content, it's still not perfect. Like, you still go through things that stress you out and stuff, but like I am in a stable relationship, and so I don't know. I guess the album is like honoring and celebrating that, as well as like acknowledging the difficulties that still arise even when you are with the person who is perfect for you. And yeah, just like having a bit of fun and being a bit like weird and silly, because I feel like all of my music so far has been like really depresso and like sometimes weird, but like not that much. I feel like most of it has just been like incredibly earnest and like sort of struggling with the self, where this one I wanted it to be a bit less about my struggle with myself, because I don't think I struggle with myself as much as I did anymore. So David Byrne has always been my hero, like my number one on my bucket list is like the person that I want to collaborate with, and I've always wanted to make something with him, and it happened this time because Dave Hammer, who's the producer I worked on this album with, was like, we have to get him on. I was like, I don't know how to do that, so if you figure it out, you let me know. And then his manager ended up like pursuing an email address and managed to get one, and I just sent him an email and he was like, hi, like great to meet you. And I was like, whoa. And he was like fully game and like loved the music, thank God, and was keen and up for it, and like wrote this song Gravity for him, and he did perfect. And then I was like, how about Always Be You as well? And then he ended up jumping on that as well, which was really cool. So yeah, that's just always been a dream, and I'm so lucky that I was able to make that come true. And then Daði Freyr was the Icelandic representative at Eurovision the years I was doing it, and both of us really liked each other's music when we first heard of each other and like connected on socials. And he's just like really funny. I really appreciate his music and his project because he's, one, independent, and two, like just really talented, but also really funny. Like there's a lot of humor in his music, and I was like really at that point like that's this headspace I was in. And he really loves his partner. Like I think we have a lot of similarities in that, and that we're both just like normal nerds who are in love and don't have complicated relationships or toxic relationships. Like he's been with his wife for like 10 or 11 years now, and they have a kid and like whatever. Yeah, and we were like, oh, we should do something together at some point if it's possible. And I wrote Make Me Feel So, most of it, and then got to the bridge and was like, feels like it needs someone else in it. And initially I was just like, it kind of just needs like a Scandinavian or Nordic man's voice. Like I was thinking initially like Jens Lekman, but then I was like, oh, Daði Freyr, like I know him. Like should ask him. And he like nailed it. I was just like, here's the blank like bridge. I just want you to like write a bit over it. Here's the song, what it is about, and maybe some vocals over the last chorus as well. And he just like nailed it first go. So that was great. And then Micah Lupte, I'm like obsessed with her music. She like sings, songwrites and produces it all herself. Japanese French artist, and like makes mostly dance music, but it's like songwriting dance music. I just think she's really talented, and I don't know, tweeted her, Instagram DM'd her or something. It was just like, oh my God, I love this. And she hit back and was like, oh, like, thank you so much. I'm listening to your music and I really like it too, and like whatever. And then we just like had this friendship, and I was like, I'd love to make something together, and she's just like, I'd love to do that too. And we didn't have anything at the time that we had to give to each other. But then Comet Death, which is the song she's on, like I'd sung all the way through, but then I was like, oh, actually it would be really cool to get her to sing on it, because she has this like really ethereal, breathy, beautiful voice that I thought would really suit it. And then it did really suit it, and she was like stoked to be on it. And that was kind of it. Yeah, like just like WhatsApped each other. And yeah, I'm really like, I've never done collaborations with people before other than producers, and I really wanted there to be other people on this record, partly because I didn't feel like this one was as much like me centric, and also I'm just like really enjoying like reaching out to other people and listening to their music and sharing things in a way I don't think I was before. I didn't understand how to do, and now I do, and I'm like, I should do it. So yeah. It just depends, right? It depends on like the person and what I feel. I think if I was trying to pitch it to me, if I was a fan, it would be like Gravity, Die Before You, and maybe Make Me Feel So. But I'd also say like JC Ultra maybe. Anyway, that's 4, but 3 if not JC Ultra. I really like the lyrics I wrote Die Before You, because I really like the bridge, because it is just like references to BMO and Adventure Time, and like I think I did a good job like in weaving that in, because I feel like, I don't know, I just like, I like that I use the word bubblet even though it's not a word, and it just to describe, I don't know, I feel like this is actually a bad one to talk about because it requires so much background context, but like there's this episode of Adventure Time where BMO like gets lost in a forest and finds a bubble, and they go on a journey through the forest together to try and get back home, and the bubble the whole time is like, I don't know where I belong, like I feel like I used to be another person, but like I don't know who that is or where that is or how to get to it. And then they get out of the forest, and by the end BMO and the bubble are like, we should like get married like we love each other. And as soon as that happens, like Jake tumbles out of their house and like it's like, ooh, a bubble, and then pops it, and Beamer's like, no, and then like a voice comes out of the ether and is like, Beamo, it's me, and like Beamer's like, oh my god, Bubble is like, no, I'm air, I've been air all along, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then he goes into this like creepy monologue about how like now we can be together all the time. Everywhere you go, every room you enter, I'll be there watching, waiting. And like it's like really like every breath you take by the policey vibes. And then Beamer like takes a pause and is like, yay! Which I just thought was, I just think it's so funny because it's someone who has like attachment issues and like very much like insecure attachment, where I like want to like be around the person I love all the time. I just think it's like such a funny exaggeration of that like condition, and which is why I referenced it a lot in the song, because the song is all about how like, oh, I will die before you because I literally don't want to live without you, and like it would be too hard, and I'll come up with all these like weird fucked ways to like make sure that happens. And yeah, so I just think that's like, I really enjoy the lyrical content. I find it really funny, and like, yeah, anyway, I'm proud of that, I guess. It kind of depends. We had all these plans, but everyone's been like really busy, and things have just like kind of come together slowly, and there's been all this other stuff to focus on, and I'm in this place. So we're trying to like, you know, get all this lighting done and like get some props and like some exciting stuff done, but it is just like a bit of a challenge of like managing everyone's schedules. So hopefully it'll all come together, but either way, you'll see some like great playing, great singing, some audience, artist connection. I really like, I deliberately chose like smaller rooms to tour in because I really enjoy the intimacy of a smaller room. Like I think it's really fun to play bigger rooms, but I far prefer being able to like see everyone's faces and look them in the eyes. Like it feels much less nerve-wracking, and also I just feel more connected to people like that. So that's like a priority for me, and so you can expect that. David Byrne, Björk, Fiona Apple, Regina Spektor, Arcade Fire. Like they're the old time, but there's probably some more recent ones that are like directly informing what I'm doing now. Well, I'm kind of already doing it, David Byrne, but the next dream collaboration is Björk, I think. I feel like it's probably a Coldplay album or something. I was really into Coldplay growing up, and like maybe Parachutes, possibly. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Though I think they kind of smashed that, so like it's kind of redundant, but anyway. I don't know, kid me says Hannah Montana, but now me says Miley Cyrus. I just remember being really into like Delta Goodrem, so probably like Born to Try or something. Oh, it was Chris Brown and Rihanna at the Ace Arena. Best one. Oh, it was probably David Byrne when he was doing the American Utopia tour. I saw it both in London and in Sydney. Saw it in London first, and I was like, this is amazing, I have to do it again. And then went and booked tickets for Sydney as well. Like, I don't know, maybe Spice Girl, but it would have to be Sporty Spice. I don't know, Nerdy Spice. I mean, the cover that I've got for it is pretty good. That was very like build it from the bottom up with like Curtis and Jacinth. Like we had several Zoom meetings about like what we wanted to convey, what the themes were, like how we wanted to feel, how we wanted colour to sort of like impact the feeling. And so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really good and sort of sums up like the colour of all the songs and like the sort of weirdness and the video gamey inspiredness and the like, yeah, like the reference for that was like Howl's Moving Castle and like just like the sort of slashing towards Bethlehem sort of Yeats thing and all that stuff. And like, yeah, I think Curtis did a very good job on that. I don't have a very good memory, but one that like weirdly does stand out is this Canberra gig, not Canberra even, it was like Queanbeyan that I did near the beginning of the year to like maybe less than 50 people. Like it was like kind of a weird one. It was one of those government funded ones where it's like I'm getting paid no matter how many tickets are sold, and then weren't not many people there at all, but like mega fans were there, and my like mom and my grandma and my aunt was there, and like one of my fans who I'm like in relatively close contact to as fans go because of Twitch and all that stuff in Discord, like had flown from Sweden to like come and see the gig and then like come and see me at Groove in the Mood, so she was there. And after like the show was really nice because it was like really low stakes and I knew everyone in the room really loved me, but it was like not a big gig. It wasn't like, and I wasn't like, there was no lighting. It was like, it was quite weird. Like it didn't feel like a pop show. And then afterwards, because there were so few people, I was like, oh, I'm going to go outside and like take photos with everyone, say hi. And like afterwards there were about like 15 people who just hung around, and we like, because they all knew me through my Twitch streaming, or like not through, but like were watching me on Twitch regularly. So we were all just like talking about video games that we liked and like, you know, all that stuff. And it was really nice. Like it felt really great. And yeah, and Lajni, who's like the Swedish fan, like gave me like a little goodies bag of like chocolate and lollies from Sweden and stuff. It was really cute. So that was really nice. Whoa. That's a big question. I don't know. I mean, like the music industry is a big beast, and I think increasingly it's quite decentralized. You can't really like, there isn't, I mean, there are still the biggest artists in the world who everyone knows and all that stuff, but like there are just so many like subcultures and subgenres and sub-communities, and so I find it kind of hard to like think of like a global impact on music industry specifically. But I guess like, I don't know. It depends on the impact as well. I think, I mean, you know, like the Beatles, I suppose, right? Like they kind of really changed the landscape of music and kind of, yeah, just the sounds that they were eking out and like the kind of image they were carving for themselves after like being branded like a boy band and stuff. I think that was kind of like the first of its time instance sort of thing. So I think they're probably pretty influential in the music industry. I kind of always wanted to, from when I was a young kid, or at least be a singer. I don't think I knew anything about the ins and outs of like what professions meant for a long time. But yeah, I remember I supported Missy Higgins like years ago at like one of the festivals that Sydney had at the time, and like afterwards, my year 7 maths teacher was like, oh my God, Jess. I was like, I haven't seen you, like, I hadn't seen her in years and years and years because I graduated. She was like, oh, I remember when you were in year 7 and you like said you wanted to be a singer and like now you are, and that's so cool. And I was like, oh, I didn't even remember I said that like to my maths teacher apparently. Like, that's kind of cute. So it's kind of always been a bit of a dream, and so I'm very lucky to do it now.